Hi boys and girls, it is time for math. And today we are graphing. And we have made graphs before. If you remember, we talked about all of our birthdays and we graphed how many people had a birthday in each month. And Mr. Clem visited our classroom and we put his birthday in the graph. Do you remember that? Well, today we're going to do more graphs because graphs are super important because they help us collect information. And just by looking at the graph, we can see what kind of information we've collected. So today we're going to do a little bit of graphing, and then we'll talk about some areas, which areas had more, which had less, and why we think that maybe. So in your packet today, you have 3 papers with graphing on it. We're going to start with the paper that's the hat graph. And that one, you're going to cut out the hats. I've already cut out the hats so that you don't have to watch me cut today. And we'll be gluing them in each, and we'll match them to the hat on the bottom, and we'll see which hat comes out with more. Are you ready?
Let me hold them.
Sure. Miss Barrett's going to hold, or I'll keep a couple. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start gluing. So my first hat is the one with the propeller on top. It looks like a little airplane on top. So I'm going to stick him on there in our first box. So it shows that we have 1 hat with the propeller on top. And I have 2 fancy lady hats. That's the first hat on the graph. Okay, it's already beating the hat with the propeller. Oh, we have 1 more fancy lady hat.
Just grabbed it. Yep.
Okay, what else do we have?
A sombrero.
Sombrero. The sombrero is the one at the end. It's the hat that's tall and pointy. We'll put it on that one. Oh, we have 1 more hat with a propeller. That's like a funny hat.
Ooh, look at this in Mrs. Rogers. It's an Abraham Lincoln hat.
Oh, a top hat.
Yes.
An Abraham Lincoln hat. Good. We have 1 of those. Put it in our graph. And another sombrero. Good. Another fancy lady hat with a flower on it. And the last one, we have a hat with a propeller. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, now let's look at the data, the information that we collected. So we have, how many fancy lady hats do we have? Let's count. We have 1,
2, 3,
4. We have 4. Let's look at the hats with the propellers. We have 1, 2, 3. 3 of those. How many Abraham Lincoln hats do we have? 1. Man, I would have had more of those.
Yeah.
If I have my choice. And the sombrero, we have 1, 2. Very nice. Okay. So, let's talk about which hats have the most. Do we have sticks?
We do have sticks. Oh, other sticks we have.
Some of us got pulled out this morning.
All right.
I should have prepared that.
We are ready for sticks. AJ.
Okay, AJ. Which hat has the most? Or which column has the most hats? I think you probably said the fancy lady hats. Because they're all the way to the top. We're all out of, there's 4 of those. Okay.
Okay. Ledger.
Ledger. Which kind of hat has which kind of hat is the least?
The least amount.
Mm-hmm. I hope you said the Abraham Lincoln hat because there's only 1 of those. 4 of the fancy lady hats. 1 of the Abraham Lincoln hats. And so that's what a graph tells us. And just by looking at it, we can see our columns. We don't even really have to count. We can just see by looking at it how many is in our graph. Okay, so since that one is finished, we are going to pull this one over. Do you see the paper that has all the people on it? I'm going to switch sides here. All right. This graph is how many siblings, brothers or sisters, do you have? And so we're not cutting and pasting this time. This time we have to ask. So Ms. Barrett and I will put our information. We'll pull a few sticks, and because I think we know how many brothers and sisters some of you have. And then the rest, you can finish at home. Ask your parents how many brothers or sisters they have. If you have a grandma or a grandpa or an aunt or an uncle around, maybe a friend that's around, you could ask them and start filling up the columns and see what people have more of, okay?
Alright.
I need to get a darker marker. Okay, so Miss Barrett, how many siblings do you have?
I have 3 brothers.
Okay, so our first column, it says none, is the only child. There's a 1 to 2 siblings, and here's 3 to 4. So we're going to fill in that bottom box for Miss Barrett because she has 3 brothers.
How many siblings do you have, Mrs. Rogers?
I have 1 sister.
1 sister.
So I get to go in the 1 to 2 box.
Then we
Okay.
can pretend our kids are here, because my kids
Oh.
have 2 siblings.
So each of your kids have 2 siblings.
Yes.
So does that make 3 total, do you think?
Well, if we ask them, I think it'd be
Maybe
them.
this one.
Mm-hmm. And if your kids were here,
they only have 1 sibling.
1 sibling.
So they get to go here also.
So right away we know.
Oh, that looks like a popular spot, the 1 to 2 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's ask some of you.
All right, so Carter.
Carter, how many siblings do you have? I know you have a lot with 1 on the way.
Where would we put that one?
I think you get to be in the 5 or more, Carter. Okay, we'll color in a box for Carter.
All right, Emery.
Emery, how many siblings do you have? I know you have a brother in 1st grade and you have a sister in 5th grade. So you have 2 siblings.
2 siblings.
Oh, that's a very popular column, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Do we have 1 more maybe?
Well, Addison.
Oh, Addison. Addison, I know you have 1 brother, right? Oh my goodness, we're already filled up here. So maybe at home, we don't have any in the none, just the only child. Maybe you can find a person at your house that's an only child or somebody that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and people with 3 to 4 siblings, maybe you can find somebody there. So maybe you could fill out that column. And the goal is not to just fill all of them up. It's just to see what's the most popular. And
To collect the data.
Yes, to collect the data to see what's the most popular. And right now, we can see the most popular is 1 to 2 siblings. Okay, our next paper is that you'll be doing is what kind of pet do you have? Oh, this one's going to be fun. So, Miss Barrett, what kind of pets do you have?
Oh, I have a dog and a cat, and we have 3 mules.
Okay, so Miss Barrett has a dog.
1 dog.
I will color in the dog for her. I will color in 1 cat.
We have 1 cat.
And there are not mules on here, but the last column where there's a fish, it says other. So you could put any other kind of pet that's not listed. So there is for Miss Barrett's mules.
There's the mules.
Okay. And
What about you, Miss Rogers, Mrs. Rogers?
I have 2 dogs.
2 dogs.
So I'm just going to fill in the box for dog. Dogs are the most popular right now. There's only 2 boxes. So you fill in your pets at home, and then if you have a friend or somebody else that you can ask, fill in those columns and see what the most popular pet is. And I would really love it when you are done if you could turn it over and draw a picture of your pet for me so that I can see it when I get your papers back.
Nice.
And today in one of our links in the description box, we'll be reading a pet story to go along with our pet graph. Okay guys, have fun graphing. See you in a little bit.